Kevin Collins here with another raw file of the week edit from the FroKnowsPhoto.com forums. This is week number 7's photo, and obviously it's a landscape photo. So we're gonna say my two little spiels, and then we'll go. This photo was not taken by me. Um, I can just assume by the name of the file that that's the person who actually took the photo, and I'm going to try to pronounce this, and if I butcher it, mispronounce it, I'm sorry. But I think the original photographer's name is Josie Zayez. Like I said, I'm sorry if I butchered that name. All the credit goes to the original photographer. I'm just doing some edits here, okay? Second thing is, I've not seen Jared's or Greg's edit on the forums, and I've not seen any of the forum members' posts for their edits. So this is just off the cuff for me. So we'll get straight into it. It's like I said, it's a landscape shot in the mountains. I don't know for sure where, so I'm not even going to guess. But it was taken with a Nikon D3000 using the 18 to 55 millimeter f3.5 to f5.6, which I think is a kit lens. 1/100th of a second at f11, ISO 145 millimeters. If I'm not mistaken, I was looking in the library at it earlier. It was taken like, yeah, here it is, 7:38 in the morning. Now, I've got to tell you that this is, I have tried several things before I created this video. This is not the first go around for me editing it, even though it is my first recording of it. It's kind of difficult, or not difficult, but challenging to get this picture, because it's got such a vast change in I guess brightness from close to far, because in the farther back you get in here, it gets hazy, probably because it's so early in the morning, and as you can tell, the fog is still lifting. It's we're obviously higher up in the atmosphere because we're looking down for miles here, and there's smog, there's the fog there, and there's the fact that it's a kit lens. I've got a kit lens too. I'm still using it. You use what you get to get what you get. It's not the gear. For the most part, it's the photographer. So we're going to try and do our best to make this come out as a photo that Josie actually intended it to be. Okay, that may actually be Jose. I'm sorry. I'm just not even going to try and pronounce it anymore. So the very first thing I'm going to try to do is adjust the white balance, and I'm going to try and get down into these neutral clouds here and just pick it and see what happens. Yeah, I think it bumped it a little bit. What was it before? And it moved it from 6,300 to 6,000. So not a big change. Dipped it toward the blue a little bit. I may end up tweaking that, bringing it back toward the warm side before it's over with. I'm going to leave the exposure alone because I think that it's okay. Because we're reaching so far with this lens, to try and bring that sky out, I think we'd just be proving detrimental to the objects in the foreground here. So we're going to try with just the contrast. Yeah, we're making headway, making lots of headway. I mean, the things here in the foreground just started to pop as soon as I started moving the contrast slider. I'm also going to pump the clarity to try and bring out a little more detail to separate the the land from the sky, but that haze is really going to hurt us. But it's bringing out details, down here in the foliage and on the rooftops and here in this field. Um, you can tell these are houses now. We got a little bit of noise, but I'm just going to call that grain, and I'm probably not going to do much with it. I'm going to bump the vibrance just a little bit. Yeah. So the farther away you get, the more into the background the the mountain range goes. But we got great separation between the greens of the foliage here compared to the whites and grays of the clouds, fog. Maybe a little bit of blacks, just ever so slightly. I went from 5 to 8 on that. Now, in a previous edit, I tried to use a graduated filter to add more definition to this, but I just never could find a good blend there, so I just scrapped it. I'm not even going to show it here, I don't think. I'm going to go ahead and turn on the basic sharpening, which is Jared's general sharpening, and I'm going to turn on the lens correction. Not much of a change there, but some. Yeah, I mean, there is a little bit of grain there, a little bit of noise, but I don't know that I can do much with it. It's already going to make a soft picture softer. So I'm just going to leave the grain that's in there alone. I'm going to try to use I'm thinking of a vignette to try and draw the person's eyes into this lower center of the photo. It may not work. I was kind of wishy-washy when I did it in the first edit. And if I do it ever so slightly, like maybe a 9 or a 10, an 8 or a 9, maybe a 10, that's about as far as I want to go. I want to change that to -10. Just enough to keep people off the edges and into the center of the photo. Now, honestly, there's not much else that this picture needs. Maybe a little more vibrance and a little more saturation. Just again to give those greens a little more pop. And I'm going to try the white balance, bumping it just a little. It started at 6,300. And I'm going to put it at 6,750. Just to give it a little bit of warmth. And I think that's probably yeah, I mean the recovery helps with the sky, but it just blows out the I think I'm just going to leave it. No recovery. Yeah, I didn't mess with the exposure. Let's drop it just like a half a stop. And let's take that vignette back out. That's as good as the vignette was, and it actually adds a little more definition up here in the sky. You can actually see some formations of some clouds. So I dropped the exposure a half a stop. and everything else I left the way it was. And you know, I didn't even create a virtual copy of this. Well, let's do it the old-fashioned way. Let's do a virtual copy, which has all of our edits already applied to it. Let's go back to the original. We're back in the original now, and I'm just going to go Develop Settings, Reset. And then I'm going to show you what they look like side by side. Hello. There we go. Well, darn it. Why is it only selecting one of these? Before. Alright, well, we'll just do it this way. Here's the before. You know, it's kind of washed out. Everything's kind of grayish. Here's the after. We've popped the colors. Made some definition changes to where I mean, even the shadows come out now where the sun's hitting the clouds. So we may have went a little overboard on the vibrance. Yeah, maybe a third of a stop on the exposure. Except I used the wrong one. There we go. Yeah, that's the way I'll leave it. So, until I get my next one done, we'll see you then.